What's up, guys? Welcome to day 22. As we keep on going with the story of Job, today we'll be focusing on Job's response to Zophar's idea of why he thinks that Job is suffering. And so, we will be starting in Job chapter 12. Then Job spoke again. You people really know everything, don't you? And when you die, wisdom will die with you. Well, I know a few things myself, and you know better than I am. Who doesn't know these things you've been saying? Yet my friends laugh at me, for I call on God and expect an answer. I am a just and blameless man, yet they laugh at me. People who are at ease mock those in trouble. They give a push to people who are stumbling, but robbers are left in peace, and those who provoke God lives in safety, though God keeps them in his power. Ask the animals, and they will teach you. Ask the birds of the sky, and they will tell you. Speak to the earth, and it will instruct you. Let the fish in the sea speak to you. For they all know that my disaster has come from the hand of the Lord. For the life of every living thing is in his hands, and the breath of every human being. The ear tests the words it hears, just as the mouth distinguishes between foods. Wisdom belongs to the aged, and understanding to the old. But true wisdom and power are found in God. Counsel and understanding are his. What he destroys cannot be rebuilt. When he puts someone in prison, there is no escape. If he holds back the rain, the earth becomes a desert. If he releases the waters, they flood the earth. Yes, strength and wisdom are his. Deceivers and deceived are both in his power. He leads counselors away, stripped of good judgments. Wise judges become fools. He removed the royal robe of kings. They are led away with ropes around their waists. He led priests away, stripped of status. He overthrows those with long years in power. He silences the trusted advisors and removes the insight of the elders. He pours disgrace upon princes and disarms the strong. If he covers mysteries hidden in darkness, he brings light to the deepest gloom. He builds up nations and he destroys them. He expands nations and he abandons them. He strips kings of understanding and leaves them wandering in a pathless wasteland. They grope in the darkness without a light. He makes them stagger like drunkards. Chapter 13. Look, I have seen all this with my own eyes and heard it with my own ears, and now I understand. I know as much as you do. You are no better than I am. As for me, I will speak directly to the Almighty. I want to argue my case with God himself. As for you, you smear me with lies. As physicians, you are worthless quacks. If only you could be silent. That's the wisest thing you could do. Listen to my charge. Pay attention to my arguments. Are you defending God with lies? Do you make your dishonest arguments for his sake? What will you slant? Will you slant your testimony in his favor? Will you argue God's case for him? What will happen when he finds out what you are doing? Can you fool him as easily as you fool people? No. You will be in trouble with him if you secretly slant your testimony in his favor. Doesn't his majesty terrify you? Doesn't your fear of him overwhelm you? Your platitudes are as valuable as ashes. Your defense is as fragile as a clay pot. Be silent now and leave me alone. Let me speak, and I will face the consequences. Why should I put myself in mortal danger and take my life in my own hands? God might kill me, but I have no other hope. I am going to argue my case with him. But this is what will save me. I am not godless. If I were, I could not stand before him. Listen closely to what I am about to say. Hear me out. I have prepared my case. I will be proved innocent. Who can argue with me over this? And if you prove me wrong, I will remain silent and die. Oh God, grant these two things, and then I will be able to face you. Remove your heavy hands from me, and don't terrify me with your awesome presence. Now summon me, and I will answer. Oh, let me speak to you. And you reply, tell me, what have I done wrong? Show me my rebellion and my sin. Why do you turn away from me? Why do you treat me as your enemy? Would you testify a leaf blown by the wind? Would you chase dry straw? You write bitter accusations against me and bring up all the sins of my youth. You put my feet in stocks. You examine all my paths. You trace all my footprints. I wasted away like rotting wood, like a smooth eating coat, eaten coat. How frail is humanity? How short is life? How full of trouble? We blossom like a flower and then wither. Like a passing shadow, we quickly disappear. You must keep an eye on such a frail creature and demand an accounting from me. Who can bring purity out of the impure people? Excuse me. You have decided the length of our lives. You know how many months we will live, and we are not given a minute longer. So leave us alone and let us rest. We are like hired hands. So let us finish our work in peace. Even a tree has more hope. If it is cut down, it will sprout again and grow new branches, though its roots have grown old in the earth and its stump decays. At the scent of water, it will bud and sprout again like a new seedling. But what? But when people die, their strength is gone. They breathe their last. And then where are they? As water evaporates from a lake and a river disappears in drought, people are laid to rest and do not rise again until the heavens are no more. They will not wake nor be rousing from their sleep. I wish you would let me I wish you would hide me in the graves and forget me there until your anger has passed, but mark your calendar to think of me. Can the dead live again? If so, this would give me hope through all my years of struggle, and I would eagerly await the release of death. You would call, and I would answer, and you would yearn for me, your handiwork. For then you will grant my steps, you will guard my steps, instead of watching for my sins. My sins would be sealed in a pouch, and you would cover my guilt. But instead, as mountains fall and crumbles, excuse me, and as rocks fall from a cliff, as water wears away the stones, and floods wash away the soil, so you destroy people's hope. You always overpower them, and they pass from the scene. You disfigure them in death and send them away. They never knew if their children grow up in honor or sink to insignificant. They suffer painfully. Their life is full of trouble. And so then that's the end of today's reading. It's all on. It's a day to kind of like really focuses on Job's response to his friend Zophar. And so yeah, as we do always do this, we will always go back. It's interesting how he said that if God punishes us, then it will make our children suffer. And yet, I guess to a standpoint, yes, it does. We do kind of like suffer from the actions of someone else. But at the same time, it's like God didn't cause that. It's just part of like human consequences to, or for disobeying God. And so yeah, that's one of the first things I've noticed. He take this is interesting. Verse 19, he says that um he has this like metaphor of water like washing stones away, and then floods and destroying the earth, like meaning like loosen up all the soil. And then how he uses these two things to kind of describe who God is to the people. He describes God as a destroyer of people's hope, which is again, I don't fully blame him, because it's like at the same time, it's like he is suffering. So some of the stuff that he may talk about may not always be what I said, may not always be the wisest in a sense. So yeah, that's just, don't believe that God is just here to diminish all hopes. I mean, there are like sinful, sinister hopes and holy hopes, and I think God could diminish those sinister, evil desires of someone's heart, their hope for the sufferings of the other people and stuff like that. Like, I don't think God is gonna follow through that or bless them with it. And so yeah, again, we're back to this again. He talks about how he wants to go to the grave. In verse 13, where he says, I wish you would hide me in a grave and forget me there until your anger has passed. It's like, again, Joe, work through your issues. You cannot just, yes, it's easy for us to like put things aside. For like, this is for most relationships. It's like whenever we're in a deep relationship issues, don't run away from it, guys. You just have to sometimes trust God and just dive right into the waters, and pray that something good will come out of your boldness. And so yeah, just be mindful of that. It's like, I understand there are times when you should like take a step back, right? But at the same time, it's like, just don't give up. Like Job has fully given up, and so he wants to die. And he thinks that dying is the only option to him be able to move on with life. It's like, no, you don't have to die to end your life. There are like this. Yes, what Job is going through is some of the most painful things anybody could ever ask for. But it's like, don't give up if you believe in God so much, if you claim to like love him so much, because you have to trust that he can bring you out of something that's bad if you allow him to, right? He's not going to force himself into your life. You have to let the door open and invite him in. And so yeah, he talks about how God is a master of our life, meaning like God gets to control when we get to live, when we get to die, how long we're going to live and die, which is like, this, I guess I mean, that's true. I'm not saying that's not true. That is true. So I don't really know what else to get out of that one, because it's like, he's just pretty straightforward. We're saying how God can control someone's life, like lifespan. I mean, more like. And again, he still thinks that God is the reason for why he suffers. So that's kind of what majority of this is about, is him thinking that God has caused nothing but trouble in his life. And so he kind of addresses Zophar as like someone who's like very unhelpful to him in his greatest time, like his time of great need, because he's saying how like, just get away from him and have Job speak to God on his own, which I guess I respect that thing. But sometimes you just have to follow through those things, guys. You cannot just say like, oh, I'm gonna do this and not do it, right? It's like for example, like praying. It's like praying. If you're gonna tell somebody to, you're gonna pray for them, Don't just say, I'm going to pray for you, and leaves and never pray to them because you just done with the conversation. Don't do that. That is not cool. It's funny how Job is referring, like asking if people are trying to like stand up, or like not stand up, but like kind of has God's back. It's like, technically speaking, God does not need any of us to back him up, right? He's asking us to live as flawless of a life as we possibly can, and still realize that we still need Jesus in our life. And so yeah, it's just interesting how he's saying God, like if Zophar was defending God, it's like God does not need to be defended because he has done nothing wrong. So yeah, it's let God speak for himself. Stop trying to speak for God. So yeah, and it just talks about how God tears down all the powerful people within a society, like priests, counselors, advisors. Like these are really well-respected, very high-ranked officials who are being knocked down by God. It's like God can do that to anyone if he chooses to, and he can rebuild if that's what his other goal is. So I disagree with verse 12, I have to say, of chapter 12, where it says wisdom belongs to the aged. So no, wisdom does not have to belong to an old age person. If you look at the story of Timothy is younger than Paul, and God still able to pour his spirit into Timothy, which just shows that God does not need an old person to be wise. He can use you. He can use you to be a miracle. He can use you to show people what wisdom is truly like. And so and to kind of wrap everything up, he still believes that his suffering is being caused because of what God did, because of what he did to that offends God. Is like, I think God will be disappointed in us and will give us and just like gives us the consequences for our actions. But I don't believe that he abandoned people based off of certain amount of actions, because his love is unconditionally. But realize that just because God has unconditional love for all of us, that does not mean that we get to put God's love to test. Because I feel like there are limits. There's a line that I feel like has been drawn for people to follow. It's like, yes, I love you guys so much that I'm willing to send send Jesus down to die for you. But at the same time, I'm not encouraging you to keep sinning. I'm encouraging you to step out of that sinful life, and that it's like, what was I about to say? I don't know. I forgot what I was about to say, but yeah, it's like it's like love, like God's unconditional love. But at the same time, I believe there is a limit. There is a line drawn to show that you cannot keep abusing my love. There's like only so much he can deal with before God goes off. And I know that God can contain so much anger and hate of the world, but he still gives us a chance to live and breathe. So don't take your life for granted. So yeah, I don't think wisdom would die just because of the person who came up with the wisdom dies. Perfect example, C.S. Lewis. He came up with some incredible phrases for Christians to follow. Yeah, he passed away like a couple hundred years ago, I think. I'm not sure. So it's just to show that, yes, our body may be dead, but our spirits are not dead, and that our actions do affect people, and that it lives on. And so just realize, like, whatever you do on this earth will not only impact your earthly life, but also your life after life after this earth. So yeah, that's kind of all I have to share. Like I said, this is kind of just like same repetition of what Job's other friends have said to him so far. So yeah, and so yeah, that's the end of day 22. So may you guys walk with God in the midst of your struggles, and lean on His understandings, not your own. So may you walk with God